Welcome to the 2016 debate on antibiotic use in cattle. My name is Connor Green.
And I'm Quimson-Baez. Here with us today are Andrew Johnson and Kayla Shreves, who are for the use of antibiotics in cattle. On the other hand, we have Yaxin Tang and Samantha Lee, who feel this practice is bad.
I'm Kayla Shreves.
And I'm Andrew Johnson.
And we're going to be the pros for today's debate about the antibiotic usage in cattle.
Hi, I'm Samantha Lee.
Hi, I'm Yaxin Tang, and today we are the opposite of this topic. We shouldn't use the antibiotics.
I would like to first address that there is no fighting during this debate, and let's keep the language clean. To start off our day, I would like to ask both parties a simple question. Let's start with Andrew and Kayla. Why do you both feel that the use of antibiotics in cattle is okay?
Most farmers today use antibiotics in a way to help their animals and to keep their farm running healthy. Without the usage of antibiotics, many farms would suffer and also the health of the animals would deteriorate.
Additionally, many people believe that antibiotics are unsafe or can lead to certain repercussions for consumers. However, effective January 1st, 2017, the FDA has many new regulations that will ensure that antibiotics are totally safe for the consumer.
Interesting. I never thought of it like that. Now, Yaxin and Samantha, why do you dislike the idea of antibiotics in cattle?
So this problems I dislike it is because that the antibiotics use is not the best solution when it comes to the sick cattle. First, the bacteria and the virus will have resistance against antibiotics. Well, the superbiotics might be emerged by the use of antibiotics, but the resistance generally takes 2 or 3 years. However, if we using the antibiotics, this procedure will be accelerated. The second reason that I don't think is a good option is because that the antibiotics will reduce the cattle's immune system's function in it. Some farmers may over-rely on antibiotics, and the long-term large scale of the antibiotics will cause a lot of problems with the cattle. And this leads to decreased immunity and antivirus and anti-infections, and decrease the rapid rate range, which certainly compress the benefits for farmers.
Very interesting point of view. But with that being said, why do you think the world feels the way they do about this topic?
So I believe that the public is just typically uninformed on the subject, whereas many people in the public see the use of antibiotics in cattle as altering the cattle in some way or altering the meat that will later be consumed. The farmers who use it see it as treating their cattle and treating them to the best of their ability, the same way you would treat a human with antibiotics.
Additionally, many people think that these antibiotics will end up somehow in the meat that they consume and would thus affect them, where that's not really true. Additionally, these treatments help animals to be healthy, so it's much safer to eat a treated animal than it is a sick animal, so that's why antibiotics are a safe alternative.
Well, for these problems, I think there's some problems with it. The first is about the cost of the use of antibiotics. As I said before, we usually normally don't use a lot of antibiotics to the cattle, but as we use a lot, the superbacteria will produce and you use like way much more antibiotics than before. Then we have to cost a lot to produce new antibiotics, or we put like more dose into cattle each time when they sick. So this is the first reason I don't think it works for antibiotics, and I think especially for farmers, they won't think this is a good idea, like to increase their cost for the sick cattle. And the second one is about environmental runoff. For like any antibiotics eaten or injected by the cattle it won't absorb by cattle's digestive system, because most of the antibiotics are evacuated. So it will finally come out to the agricultural runoff, and thus the environment was polluted. So this is the second thing I think people should know of, and the people don't like this the environment being polluted by the agriculture, this runoff. So I think most people, especially farmers, will have like a negative attitude for this.
Now that we've heard from both sides, we have another question. What do you think the biggest flaw or setback to this process is?
So in my opinion, the biggest setback to the antibiotics use in cattle is those who do choose to abuse it. While most farmers use it in the correct ways to help their operation and to help the health of their cattle, there are those who choose to abuse it and misuse it, and that's definitely the biggest setback in my opinion.
Additionally, for farmers with a very large herd or who have lots of sick animals, it can be costly at times. However, we both think that it's worth it to use antibiotics to maintain the health of these animals.
Now that we have heard from Kayla and Andrew on the minor setbacks of antibiotic use, we're now going to hear from Jackson and Samantha on what they think may be some positives on the process, even though they are opposed.
Even though many people believe that antibiotic is dangerous to the public, however, antibiotic use, especially in cattle, is an important aspect to keeping animals healthy and ensuring that farmers can continue to produce. For now, we don't have another effective way to keep the cattle healthy by treating and preventing the spread of illness.
We have one final question for you all, and that is, one of the biggest concerns around the world today is the health of our environment and wildlife. Do you think the use of antibiotics will affect any of these? Why or why not?
Some might believe that the current antibiotics that we use could have adverse effects on the environment. However, in recent years, many agriculturists have worked to develop more natural solutions. These natural solutions work in the same way as antibiotics, but have less environmental effects and no runoff effects like the other group mentioned. At times, they can also have supplemental effects that can help the animals be even healthier. So I think natural antibiotics will be a very important part of our future.
And to add to that, although there is the chance of runoff from antibiotics that we have today, if they're used correctly, we can reduce that runoff by a very high amount. And also, I believe that the positive effects outweigh the small environmental effects that it has.
Now, antibiotics became another big problem that affects humans' life. Consumer Union has concluded that there is a potential presence of superbugs in meat and poultry and migrating into the environment. Superbugs can transmit their genetic immunity to antibiotics to other bacteria, including bacteria that can make people sick. Also, even though without superbugs, in today's society, humans share most of the disease with animals. If we grow cattle with antibiotics, there must be some resistance remain. Even though without superbugs, in today's society, humans share most of the disease with animals. If we grow cattle with antibiotics, there must be some resistance remain in the meat and other products. So after we eat it, it also lives in our human's body, and it can prevent us to get help from the hospital.
What an interesting debate. Thank you to both parties for sharing your thoughts and ideas. Once again, I am Connor Green.
And I'm Gianna. Thanks for tuning into this debate.
See you next year when the debate topic will be about Buffalo!